Rashid to present.
Yeah.
You're
Good
talking.
morning.
Can you share your screen, sir, Rashid?
Yeah, I will share it and just a second. Oh, just a second, please.
Sure, sir.
Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, yes, yes. Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to present my work in finance, which is on finance. Would the lag in stock reaction in GCC markets be a sign for a language effect? It's an application to credit rating agencies announcements. The point is that we're going to study how the stock market in GCC countries, which is Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, etc., will react to the announcements of the large credit rating agencies, which is Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and Fitch. We are going to study the positive rating events and the negative rating events. Usually, international credit rating agencies publish their announcements in English language. So this is our main study, as we will share, I will see later. The point to study our or the GCC countries is for the main characteristic, which is the domination of individual investors. Usually 90% of the daily transaction in stocks are addressed by the institutional investors and large bourses, whereas in the Saudi stock exchanges, 88% by the individual investors, 71% in Abu Dhabi is by individual investors, which means, for example, in Saudi, 88 by individuals and 12 by the institutional investor, which is totally the opposite to the large bourses. These individuals are, as we will see later, are well known by low level of English language. And to the best of our knowledge, previous studies regarding the credit rating agencies announcement examined the reaction of market by considering the market as one type of investors, only institutional, without repairing either institutional or individuals, but they believe always institutional. So to what extent the domination of individual investors will affect the stock prices reaction in GCC markets, and if individual investors dominate the market, and these individuals have low level in the English language, to what extent would publishing the credit rating agencies announcement in the English language create a lag in market reaction? That means usually markets react in day 0 or day 1, but in our case, as we will see later, react in day 5, day 8. So we argue that in some of the GCC markets, the one characterized with a large proportion of individual investors will experience a delay to react to the rating agencies announcements. This delay is expected to arise from the difficulties to understand the English language, which is the information coming in the market that is used to diffuse the rating agencies announcements. As we know, usually, or the previous study says that domination of individuals are seen as noise traders. The noise traders are traders who trade randomly. Also, the sentiment and investors' opinion always affect the stock market behavior. Also, it says investors are subjected to common human errors, and the behavior of individuals may vary due to non-financial factors, such as education, environment, wealth, religion, age and language, etc. And also, it is assumed, regarding the effect of language, it is assumed that when investors react or when investors read a familiar firm's report that is announced in an understandable language, for them, investors will obtain useful information and better knowledge about the firm, whereas institutional investors seem to be less affected by this aspect because usually they understand the language faster than individuals. Incorporating foreign information is related to how investors are familiar with the language and the culture of the information source. Therefore, we assume that the majority of the individual investors in these markets may not speak very well the English language to interpret the news directly from the source. Hence, the majority of individuals are likely to be in need to wait for the news to be translated into the mother language, which is Arabic in our case, leading to the emergence of an advantage amongst the sophisticated investors who understand the English language first, to benefit first from the announced news. And then after the translation, the individuals will react, but they will have late reaction. Hence, we suggest that credit rating agencies may fail to reduce the information asymmetry in this kind of markets. We have three hypotheses. Our main hypothesis, which is H1, H2, is in GCC countries, the market with a larger proportion of individual investors, such as Saudi and United Arab Emirates, will experience a relative delay to react to foreign information, which is credit rating agency announcement, compared to the market with a lower level of individual investors, which is the other GCC markets. For our methodology, we have two main methodologies: the questionnaire. We diffuse the questionnaire for in Saudi market for the individual investor in Saudi market, and we have 427 participants final sample. And the second methodology is the event study. We use it to capture the abnormal returns related to the credit rating agency's announcement, if any, as well as to examine the time needed by the market to react. The abnormal return is calculated using the classical market model. We have 120 days estimation period and 41 days as an event period. Our questionnaire shows that 56% of the participants do not speak English, whereas nearly 44% speak English. Therefore, and after applying the comparison test, we found that the investors who speak the English language tend to follow the news in English more than who do not speak English. And also the investors who do not speak the English language tend to rely only on Arabic sources. And regarding the interest to credit rating agencies, either they speak English or don't speak English, they have the same interest to this kind of information. Therefore, we believe that the domination of individual investors in the Saudi market is likely to influence the reaction time of the market to foreign news, such as the credit rating agencies. And then for the hypothesis, we rejected hypothesis H3.1 and support H3.2 and H3.3, which is higher level of speaking the English language, influence positively the investors to follow the financial news in English language. And also non-English speakers tend to rely on news from Arabic sources more than the English speakers do. For the event study, we classify our result into positive rating events and negative rating events. For each type of events, we examine the whole market combined, then the market reaction in Saudi and United Arab Emirates, then the other GCC markets, which is Kuwait, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, and Bahrain. This classification is based on the level of individual domination. For the positive events in the GCC stocks market, we find that the GCC markets react positively to positive rating events. And interestingly, the stock market reaction in Qatar and Kuwait and Oman occur faster. That's mean on the event day, which is day 0, than those reported in the Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. As we see, the Saudi and United Arab Emirates, they react in day the window +1, +5, and +1, +8, whereas in the other GCC market, it react in day 0. For the negative events, the whole market combined reacts negatively, and it seems that the negative events have less information value compared to the positive events. Then we decided to filter all the previous studies that were dedicated to the stock market reaction to credit rating agencies in order to find out the reaction time in Anglophone countries and non-Anglophone countries, to find out they will react in small event windows or large event windows. After controlling the sample, markets in non-Anglophone countries seem to react in large post-event windows compared to the market in Anglophone countries, which tend to react in small post-event windows. Therefore, we suggest that credit rating agencies may fail to reduce the information asymmetry in some financial market, and this type of information is not efficiently related, since the minority, which is sophisticated investors, benefit first from the comparative advantage. over the majority. Therefore, credit rating agencies should take into consideration the domination of individual investors and their educational background in each market to find out whether they announce only in English or English and in the same time in the language of the market of interest, either Arabic, French, German, or whatever, or Indian, or whatever. Thank you for your attention, and any question, please.
Thank you, Rashid, for your wonderful presentation. Can you just show me the results of that t-test and all? It was coming 0.15, right? Why it should be?
Sorry, you mean here? I don't know.
T-test 0.56, 0.55.
Here?
Yeah, here.
Yeah. Here the t-test
And
is
1.02. So optimal value of what would be the optimal value of t-test?
here first I said that cumulative average of normal returns in +1 and +8 is 1.18%, and it's significant at 1%. The t-test, I use that the cross-sectional t-test. So here it's significant at 1%, and for the non-parametric test, Stein test and Wilkinson, they are significant at 5%.
Okay. What about the p-value, alpha p and alpha value of all the questionnaires? Whether the questionnaires and the responses were correct?
You mean here?
Okay.
What you mean for the questionnaire? Yeah, all of them. For example, for this and here.
Cronbach alpha value. Cronbach alpha basically you need to do for questionnaires, and before the responses, a small test you should carry out with the sample study, right? So.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
So you do a initial study, sample study.
Yeah.
So sample study I'm asking about.
The sample study.
Yeah, sample study as well as the alpha value of all the questionnaires.
You mean to see if they are normally distributed or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did the normal distributor, and they are significant. That's mean they are normally distributed. And also, I applied these non-parametric tests for who say that Likert scale are not usually normally distributed.
Like, why did you carry t-test, two-tail, and chi-square test? What is the reason of this chi-square test and t-test, two-tail? Why not independent test?
Okay, I applied the t-test here as a parametric test, and these three tests, chi-square and the others, are non-parametric tests. Because as I said, there are some who say Likert scale, because I use Likert scale in my questionnaire. They say Likert scale, some of them, they say usually they are not normally distributed. In this case, it should be applied non-parametric test. So I applied two, the parametric test, which is the t-test two-tail, and non-parametric test, which is the chi-square and the others.
Okay. Thank you, Rashid, for your wonderful presentation. We'll go for next presenter for the day. I'll call upon Ruben Raju.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please share your presentation.
Okay, 1 second.